This is America on the Road, named Best Radio Show by the International Automotive Media Conference, and now in its 32nd year on the air. Thanks for being with us as we bring you the latest automotive information from around the world. I'm Jack Nerad, and with me is co-host Chris Teague. Chris, how's your Easter week going?
It's going great, actually. We finally reached the 60s temperature here in Maine, so the grass is starting to turn green, except for where my dog has peed on it repeatedly over the winter. How about you?
Yeah, well, it's a little tougher in our household because we lost our dog earlier this week, but we will get through it. It is Easter week, and New York Auto Show week, of course, happens Easter week, so we have a lot of news for each of you from each of those. Let's start this again. And I was doing so good. Sorry, Chris. Let's start in 10 seconds. This is America on the Road, named Best Radio Show by the International Automotive Media Conference, and now in its 32nd year on the air. Thanks for being with us as we bring you the latest automotive information from around the world. I'm Jack Nerad, and with me is co-host Chris Teague, back from illness last week, but still a little bit under the weather. Chris, how's your Easter week going?
It's going great, Jack. I'm happy to finally see some temperatures here above 60 degrees so we can get outside and enjoy things. How about you guys? How are things going?
A little tougher here because we lost our dog of 17 years this week, Chris, but you've gone through that and you know how difficult that is, but we'll tough through it. It is Easter week, so that's a positive sign. And, of course, that is also New York Auto Show week. So we have a lot of news from both Easter week and Auto Show week for you. Of course, Easter in Moab, Utah is one of the biggest off-road gatherings each year. So both Ford and Jeep are showing concept vehicles there. There are several new models introduced in and around the New York show, and we'll tell you about cool vehicles from Kia, Toyota, Mercedes-Benz, and Audi coming up. Used car buyers might be in for a price shock, and it has nothing to do with tariffs. But, of course, we'll have the latest auto tariff news for you, too. It's one jam-packed show, isn't it, Chris?
They all have been lately. It's been very exciting.
Yeah, more exciting, maybe, than we need. America on the Road is brought to you by DrivingToday.com, emlancy.com, the publisher of my just-released new book, Only One Thing Stays the Same, and Mercury Insurance. If you're looking to save some money, you should switch to Mercury for your auto and home insurance. Californians save an average of $670 with Mercury, so imagine how much you could save. Get a quote today at drivingtoday.com/auto insurance. That's drivingtoday.com/auto-insurance. Well, as you longtime listeners to the show know, Chris lives at one end of the country. I live at the other. Each week we get together to talk about cars, the car industry, and how you can have some fun with your car. Chris, what is your vehicle to test this week?
I spent the week behind the wheel of the 2025 Jeep Wrangler 4xE. I can't wait to tell you all about it.
I'm looking forward to that review. Very appropriate for Moab Week. My test vehicle is the 2025 Lucid Gravity. And you'll be amazed at that thing. When we have a great guest for you, too. Melvin Bautista is product manager at Hyundai and expert on the all-new 2026 Hyundai Palisade SUV. I got a chance to talk with him about that at a preview of the New York Auto Show a little earlier, and so I think you'll enjoy what he told me. So we have plenty of show for you this week. Stay with us, and we'll be right back right here on America on the Road with plenty of automotive news. Thanks for being with us. Welcome back, everybody, to America on the Road with Chris Teague, Jack Nerad with you. And we have a jam-packed show this week with automotive news, including stuff from the Easter Jeep Safari and what's going on in Moab, Utah. Also includes Ford Motor Company products and the New York Auto Show all in one. And then tariff news. Oh, man, we've got a ton of stuff to talk about. But let's talk about these various vehicles. I mean, Jeep shows a ton of concepts. I got a preview of that. You probably did too, Chris, a little earlier before the show. So many concepts, it's hard to even talk about them all. You know, there is a 4xE concept built on the Wrangler platform. The Jeep Rewind concept, so that's a nostalgic look at the Wrangler, drawing on the 1980s style. I love the fact that 1980s is nostalgic. It seems new to me. There is the Wrangler 4xE blueprint concept. Do you have a favorite among the Jeep concepts here?
I can't remember the name of it. It was the Gladiator, one of the Gladiator concepts that I really liked.
Maybe the high top honcho.
That was it. Yep.
Yes.
So my thing about this year's concepts is that I love that a lot of them are looking back. So a lot of them are retro styled, and
Right.
Jeep has done that a lot in past years. But this year, most of them seem to be sort of this vintage look, which I love.
Yeah, I like that too. Do you think it's kind of overkill, though? I mean, I kind of would like to see one or two just really cool vehicles as opposed to such a plethora of these vehicles. I think they kind of get lost in the sea, right?
Yeah, I agree. They're cool vehicles, but I'd like to see, as you say, like maybe a more production-ready vehicle with some aftermarket parts that we could buy. You can't go buy some of these concepts, even though they look really cool. So I'd love to see that, but they are neat.
Yeah, I mean, I nobody asked me, but I'd kind of maybe spread these out through the year, too. If you're going to do this many vehicles, maybe you get more publicity if you spread them out a little bit, but it's not up to me. Ford has some cool stuff, too, on the Bronco, the Arches Edition and the Cliffhanger. Also at Moab, they're dueling 4x4 kind of stuff going on with the what's going on at Moab. Of course, Moab and Easter week is a major week there. Do you have a favorite among the Fords? I know you're a Bronco fan.
I do like the two-door Bronco Raptor concept. Is that the Cliffhanger? I think that's
it is.
What that one
it is.
I,
yes.
I get mixed up with all the names, but yeah, I think that one looks cool. If we actually see that one on sale, I'd be happy.
It has details inspired by local petroglyphs and rock art. So, I mean, you don't see that on every car.
These are pretty niche. I realize Moab is like internationally recognized as an off-road spot, but like some of these touches are like you'd have to be pretty deep into the off-road scene to understand some of this stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of those people are actually. Kia is showing a bunch of cool stuff at the New York show, including the American version of its EV4. Maybe this promised low-buck all-electric vehicle that is coming to the marketplace. I'm not sure about the timing of that. They're also unveiling the 2026 K4 hatchback, which I think is a nice addition to the K4 line. I think we like the K4 line anyway, but I think the hatchback is the more utilitarian of the two and maybe cooler looking too. I mean, what's your take on these two?
I'm happy to see Kia still dedicated to making small cars. I mean, the K4 is far from the affordable models that Kia released in like the 90s, but it's still one of the more affordable models on sale today. And the EV4, it looks cool. None of us have driven one of them yet, but I was excited. The EV6 is fantastic. So if the 4 lives up to that, I think we'll be in good shape.
Yeah, one of the cool things about the EV4 is the base model is supposed to have something like 330 miles of all-electric range. You're a guy with an all-electric car, so you know that's a pretty good number, and it makes life a little easier. Also can fast charge from 10 to 80% in about 30 minutes, 29 minutes. So you got to look at your watch to make sure that's going on. I think maybe it's not the most propitious time to introduce a new EV, but it's encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm excited to see these models come out. I think the market has changed since they started developing some of these vehicles. The political situation has certainly changed. So I'm interested to see where these end up in the next year or two in terms of sales numbers.
Yeah. Let's talk about something maybe near and dear to your heart is the Toyota GR models introduced, or at least shown. I think they introduced them actually at the Long Beach Grand Prix, very close to me, fairly recently. But now showing them off in New York, the GR Supra Mark V Final Edition. That sounds kind of ominous. And the GR86 Yazoo Special Edition. Takes on those, Chris? What's your...
I'm a Toyota fan. We've known this since the beginning of time. I think these special editions are great. I think it's a shame, we're losing the Supra as the final edition, whatever we're going to see. But these cars are cool. They make them in exceedingly small numbers, and I'm not sure they're worth the price given that there's not a ton of performance upgrade unless you really just want that last Supra.
Yeah. It has yellow paint, the Yuzu, the Yuzu yellow paint. So that's maybe one reason to buy. It certainly will stand out. Like you say, it doesn't seem like there's a ton of enthusiast equipment added to this stuff, but fairly cool. Here's something I think any automotive journalist can really get behind, and maybe nobody else gives a heck about, is the 2026 Mercedes-AMG E53 hybrid wagon, performance wagon. Huzzah, huzzah, according to auto journalists, that's coming to the U.S. market. 3-liter inline-six turbo engine with 577 horsepower, a station wagon with 577 horsepower, and can go up to 604 horsepower with the race start feature, which what every station wagon needs. Chris, thoughts?
Oh, of course I'm excited, Jack. Very much so. The E63 S-Wagon, which was the range-topping model, I'm not sure that they're making it this year, was always one of my sort of unobtainable dream cars. They only make like 150 of them a year or something. But an E53 with that sort of power, I mean, those are big numbers, Jack.
Big numbers, absolutely, and big numbers out of the electric motor. 161 horsepower electric motor. You don't see that kind of electric motor power in a lot of these hybrids, but that is pretty cool, and I can't wait till that comes to market. It's amazing to me it is, but it is, at least as of now, depending on tariff talk that we'll talk about in a little bit. Audi is bringing in the new A6 sedan. It's going to debut with what Audi says are notable differences from its global counterpart. It's going to launch later this year with a 3-liter V6 engine producing 362 horsepower, which is nothing to sneeze at, a 7-speed dual-clutch trans, and Quattro all-wheel drive. It will not have mild hybrid technology at launch, interestingly enough. I'm curious as to how you feel about this. It strikes me that Audi is telling us about a lot of stuff that it won't have versus a bunch of stuff it will.
Yeah, my guess is the mild hybrid or any sort of electrification would be reserved for like the S or the RS model, which will probably come later on. The new A6 looks great. They claim that it's more aerodynamic than the R8 supercar from a few years ago, so definitely some changes there, and hopefully the Audi interior lives on. They always have done a good job with their cabin finishes.
Yeah. Let's talk about used cars. A lot of people are looking at used cars right now. There's a problem there, though. Used car inventory has dropped pretty significantly. It's down to 2.1 million units on the ground, so that's available to buy versus 2.18 million just a month ago. We're going to see this for a while because we're seeing the remnants of what happened in COVID and when they shut down auto factories. I mean, those new cars not built back then are not used cars now, right? I mean, this is going to lead to higher used car prices, I think. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I agree. These things, we talked about these things in like 2021, 2022, and now we're kind of feeling the tail end of the effects of that. And I think it's probably going to continue too. I mean, consumer confidence is not the highest right now. People are hearing about higher prices. Even if they haven't started yet, I think that we're going to see people holding on to their used cars a little bit longer.
Right. Well, as we're talking with each other, there might be some relief on the tariff front. We'll have to see what happens on that, but that seems to be somewhat of a fluid situation as those negotiations continue. So we'll see what happens there. As I think we predicted, it probably won't be as dire as many have suggested it could be. We will have two very interesting road test vehicles. Again, remind us of the vehicle you'll be road testing, Chris.
The 2025 Jeep Wrangler 4xe.
And I was road testing a fascinating vehicle called the 2025 Lucid Gravity, a battery electric SUV from Lucid Motors. So stay with us for that, and we'll be right back right here on America on the Road. Welcome back, everybody, to America on the Road with Chris Teague. This is Jack Nerad back with you, and we're so glad you're with us. We do appreciate it. We're so glad Chris is back with us after a week not being with us under the weather, but now back somewhat above the weather, but maybe not 100%. But we have kind of an electrifying couple of vehicles to talk about here. You were driving a Jeep Wrangler 4xe. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure the 4xe is as electrifyingly exciting as the Lucid sedan that you drove, but this is definitely a nicer one of the Wranglers for me. I think I like this one the best out of the group. But this is the 2025 Jeep Wrangler 4xe. This is their plug-in hybrid variant. I tested the Willys trim, which is kind of a mid-range throwback to the early days of Jeep as it was a military vehicle. You can get into the regular Wrangler, Jack, for around $34,000. To get into the 4xe, though, you have to spend $51,000 at a minimum. My Willys was just under $65,000 with some options. So before I go too far, what do you think of the 4xe, the new Wrangler in general, and the price?
I mean, I love the 4xe concept. I love plug-in hybrids. I think auto journalists like plug-in hybrids almost as much as they like station wagons, right? And the general market doesn't care for them all that much. Although I think the 4xe is the best-selling plug-in hybrid out there of all of them. There's a lot to like about it from a driving standpoint. I think there have been some issues quality-wise.
Yeah, they've definitely seen some recalls and some issues, but getting into the performance here, you get a turbocharged 2.0-liter four-cylinder engine, you get 2 electric motors and a 17 kilowatt-hour battery. That produces 375 combined horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque. So, Jack, you get a beefy amount of torque out of these electric motors, which, as you know, for off-roading is excellent because you need that low-speed torque to get up and over rocks and obstacles, which I did not do during my week with the vehicle, but knowing that I could was very confidence inspiring. 4-wheel drive comes standard and you get an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now, since this is a plug-in hybrid and not a regular standard hybrid, you get 22 miles of electric range. I was able to get about 17 out of this vehicle, Jack, and that's just in-town driving. So, excuse me, I think it may be a little bit different if you were driving maybe slower speeds than I was. I'm not really sure, but I think that may be a little generous. What I'll say here about the driving experience, Jack, is that it feels very quick, it feels very torquey. 470 pound-feet is nothing to sneeze at. My issue with this powertrain, and I want to get your opinion on this, is that it feels like there's too much going on underneath it. So when you're in the electric drivetrain mode and you switch to gas and back and forth, there's some clunkiness, some noise, and some jerkiness too. Did you ever experience that driving this vehicle?
I think I have, and that's one of the issues that I think a lot of plug-in hybrids seem to have, and it's less seamless. Maybe that's the nicest way to put it. Than it, I think we'd like it to be. It's just, as you say, there's a bit of clunkiness to it, depending on where you are in the throttle and all of that.
Yeah, you definitely are aware that there's something going on between the gas and electric powertrain components there, but nothing that's nothing that you can't live with, nothing that is so disruptive that it totally ruins the driving experience. And I will say that Jeep, when it redesigned the Wrangler in 2024, the new ride quality of the new Jeep is much better than the last one. You're still not looking at the most well-behaved on-road driving experience possible, but it's much better than it was. Inside, the Willys comes with cloth upholstery. You can get leather and some other finishes inside depending on the trim. You get heated seats, a heated steering wheel. Those are optional features with this. It's part of the reason why the price is a little bit higher than some other configurations. You also get a heated steering wheel, as I said. Everything is leather wrapped, so the gear shifter, lever, the dash, and the steering wheel. So you get a nicer feeling interior here than if you just had cloth, but this is still a pretty basic experience inside. So you can get it dirty and hose it out and things. So not really going to be an interior that you have to baby. All Wranglers now come with a 12.3-inch touchscreen. It runs Uconnect infotainment, which is fantastic. We've talked about that several times in the past, Jack. It has plenty of features. It's very responsive. It's easy to use. And you get the off-road pages here, so you get, vehicle yaw, positioning controls, and things like that. You also get an 8-inch digital gauge cluster, wireless smartphone mirroring, and a full suite of advanced safety features here, so you get blind spot monitoring, rear cross-traffic alerts, forward collision warnings. Jack, I think the price here is out of my range. I think that if I was looking at a Wrangler, I would look at one of the cheaper ones that I could bash on in the woods and not really feel like I was going to lose an expensive toy at that point. But I think if you can pay for it, the all-electric range and the added torque is definitely a great benefit to have here.
Yeah, I think it's cool, too. Again, it's at what price, right? I think you identify the big issue there. And I'm not sure the price is going to entice a lot of people, but I think a lot of people who go off-road also like the idea of, some electric environmental driving. So why not try that? So
I will say, or I should say, that you do have eligibility for up to $7,500 of the federal tax credits here, but again, that could change.
Yes, yeah, we don't know what the future will bring. And speaking of not knowing what the future will bring, let's talk about the 2025 Lucid Gravity. This is a pivotal new model for Lucid Motors. Of course, they're a very high-end American startup. It's the company's first foray into the luxury electric SUV space. And, of course, that's an important space because SUVs are where the luxury market is. I mean, luxury sedans are not all that popular these days. Lucid has a great luxury sedan, and the Air sedan, and very, very cool. One of the coolest vehicles I've driven even recently in the last several years. But there's not just that big market there. In the Gravity, they want to fuse the high-end performance, passenger comfort, and everyday practicality of that vehicle into this new three-row SUV. And it has aerodynamic styling, a three-row layout that's actually a pretty good three-row, and just a potent electric powertrain. So all of that stuff is good. But in some ways, as I will elucidate in this review, having just come off the Lucid Motors event that introduces, there's some signs of this still being a work in progress, and I'm not sure everybody wants to buy a work in progress. I think maybe you own one or are leasing one right now in your own household, Chris, from another manufacturer, much more major than Lucid. But Lucid's going to offer the Gravity in two trims, Touring and Grand Touring. The base model is expected to start around $80,000. I was driving a Grand Touring trim, and the sticker that they gave us was $127,150 with the option packages. So not an inconsiderable sum, three-row. You kind of winced. You can't see that on the radio, but tell me about your initial reaction to all this.
Yeah, I hope that they're able to get the more affordable models to market quicker than they did with the Air sedan. And I realized that they were a brand new business at that point in time. But $127,000, $130,000 car. I mean, come on. I mean, we need something a little bit better than that. I realize that these are super high-end vehicles, but it's hard to get excited about that, despite what will probably be a very nice vehicle with excellent performance.
Yeah, I mean, it is all of that. You kind of summed it up. I mean, this is a nice, fairly compact vehicle for a three-row, and yet the interior space is really good. And the three-row seating positions, it's basically two up front, a bench seat for three, and then two in the back, which I think is a pretty good configuration, except you don't have a pass-through to get in there, and you don't separate your kids necessarily in the three-row second row, but it's a nice thing. It folds flat to the second row. And the third row is very usable, so I like that. It also has a big front trunk, 8.1 cubic feet, and you can also sit in it. You can sit in it with kind of the hood over you, so I guess if it's raining, you can watch that soccer game, and it'll be swell for you there. It'll be maybe an upscale suburban soccer game going on. Let's talk about power here, because it's stupendous. 828 horsepower, 909 pound-feet of torque. This thing can go from 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds. At least that's what Lucid claims. So that's super fast. And then it has all kinds of high-zoot stuff like air suspension, adjustable ride height. It has four-wheel steering. I mean, kind of loaded for bear all the way around. It weighs over 6,000 pounds, but you wouldn't know it actually from the driving demeanor of this vehicle. It drives very, very nicely, and a lot like a sports sedan. And then they hinted at stuff. They gave us a chance to drive one of these vehicles with their terrain mode, although it wasn't really installed in the test car we had. It was installed in a kind of prototype vehicle that we got to drive on a kind of rudimentary off-road course, kind of flat and kind of not very challenging. Of course, you're driving on summer tires on this thing, so kind of crazy. But it was interesting to me how much this seemed to be, as I say, a work in progress, Chris.
That's interesting because, we've been talking about the Gravity for at least 3 years now. I think it's been a while since we first heard about this.
It was introduced at the LA show in 2023.
Oh, yeah. So this is the third year. But, yeah, I mean, so your view is that the test vehicle or the prototype were the work in progress? I guess I'm not.
All of it.
All of it. Wow.
The test vehicle was definitely a work in progress. Let me dive into that. I mean, it has very cool ability to charge, 437 miles of range. But let me talk about the work in progress stuff, because Apple CarPlay was supposed to be in this vehicle. I mean, that was a big shortfall with Lucid Motors and I think Rivian and some others that didn't have Apple CarPlay. But it was not installed in the test car and not functional. They say it's coming. The navigation system just kind of quit working every now and then, especially when you got an incoming phone call, things like that. And I think it had a difficulty when you were out of cell range, which shouldn't happen really in a dedicated navigation system. And then the Dream Drive 2 driver assistance system, which promises to be really, really cool. I mean, they have, I think, 12 cameras, a couple radars, a LiDAR, all kinds of stuff. That wasn't installed either, and you couldn't test that. So, a lot of difficulty with things being based in the touchscreen. For example, to open the glove box, you have to go into a menu and then find another menu and then push a button. So that's frustrating. This is such a cool vehicle. I just wish it was 100% operational and ready to go, but it just doesn't seem to be at this point.
You think they'll get there before the release date?
I'm hoping so. I mean, they've already sold some. They're going to sell some more. So, they promise a lot of stuff with over-the-air updates, but, I really do like this vehicle. I think it's an advance in so many ways, and yet there's some things that lead me to go, well, I've got to step back a little bit and not really recommend this until, more of this stuff is sorted out. I think that's only fair. Well, when we come back, we will have Melvin Bautista. He's a product planner at Hyundai. He's an expert on the all-new 2026 Hyundai Palisade SUV that was introduced at the New York show. So stay with us for that, and we'll be right back right here on America on the Road. Welcome back, everybody, to America on the Road. Jack Nerad back with you. We have a terrific guest and a preview look at something that's very, very cool, the all-new Hyundai Palisade. I think this is the 26 model year, right?
Yes, 2026.
Yeah. With me is Melvin Bautista. Thanks so much for being with us. We do appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
Product expert on this, product planning guy at Hyundai. Walk us through from the very high level. What's going on with this?
Yeah, so we
Palisade?
have the all-new Palisade. It's fully redesigned inside and out. It's an overall larger vehicle compared to the previous Palisade in every facet, from exterior and interior dimensions. We really focused on a lot of family-oriented convenience features on the vehicle, uncompromised safety as well as practical technology.
Mm-hmm. Making it bigger was a customer demand, right, or at least a want versus the old vehicle.
Yes,
Talk about how you accomplished that.
Yeah, I mean, specifically in the United States, our customers were asking for more size. They wanted more legroom, more space inside their vehicles, larger vehicles overall. So we've really tried to deliver on that, whether it be the exterior size as well as the interior dimension increase as well.
Mm-hmm. So longer wheelbase and longer overall, right?
Yeah, it's about a 2.5 inch overall length increase, and it's about 2.7 on the wheelbase. So much larger, attributing to the interior spaciousness.
Talk about how the increased wheelbase helps, because it's more than just a couple inches, right? I mean, a couple inches doesn't seem like a lot to people, but in a vehicle, it is a lot. Number one, this is almost 3 inches, I guess we're talking about, and it aids things like getting in and out. And that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. The wheelbase, definitely, as you mentioned, 1 or 2 inches is a pretty dramatic increase when you talk about it in vehicles. But really, where it really attributes to is really getting in and out of the vehicle. Really, the rear, the second row space, getting in and out. There's a lot more space between, the wheel well as well as the seating to be able to get in and out of the vehicle. So overall, you'll see that benefit mainly in the second and third rows.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's start with powertrain, because you have really interesting powertrains this time around, new V6 and a hybrid. Walk us through that.
Yeah, we have a standard on the Palisade. We have an all-new 3.5 liter V6 that delivers 287 horsepower. In addition to that, we also have an all-new hybrid powertrain where it's a 2.5 turbo, where it's actually estimated at about 329 horsepower. So great blend of power and efficiency that you get with the hybrid, as well as on the V6.
Interesting to me that you have a new V6, because we don't see many new V6s. The V6s we see in the marketplace are kind of remnants of V6s from a generation or two ago. Tell us the rationale for an all-new V6.
Yeah, what we really wanted to deliver was, some of our customers, a lot of vehicles in this segment today are 4-cylinder turbo engines.
Yeah.
They've all kind of gone to that just because of the fuel economy and emission requirements. But what we really wanted to do was give our customers that option of a V6 engine, which delivers more power, better torque, better towing capacity, to really give them that capability that they're looking for in their Palisade. At the same time, we also have a much more efficient vehicle if they're into that.
Yeah, a lack of complication with the V6, right? I mean, it's a pretty tried and true type of design.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's a much more traditional, much more accepted powertrain, especially in the larger vehicles. But yeah, it just delivers much more capability and power.
Yeah, and towing. And towing is fairly important for this vehicle, right?
Yeah, we actually, towing is important. We found, especially in this segment, our V6 offers 5,000 pounds of towing capacity. Our hybrid offers 4,000 pounds. But one of the other cool things I'll mention is we've actually integrated a factory-installed tow hitch that we have available in our vehicles to really help promote the adventurous lifestyle, whether it be putting lifestyle hitches and putting bike racks, or towing boats or motorhomes in the back as well.
Well, and the beauty of it too is a literal beauty. I mean, it's hidden; you can't see that it's there, and yet a couple of screws, I guess, and you can access it.
Exactly, and that was one of the main things, is really giving that convenience to the customer if it's needed, right? Because they're all not going to use the tow hitch, but to know that it's there, we're hoping that it'll kind of help enhance their lives and bring a lot of things with them.
Yeah. This is a family vehicle, 3 rows. I think seats up to 8, depending on the configuration. Many of them are seven-seaters with captain's chairs in the second row.
Yes.
So walk us through the interior, because there's so many great features about the accommodation.
I think as soon as you walk in, one of the biggest things, obviously, with the new design of the vehicle, you'll see there's a big focus on some of the sophisticated materials, simplified in a way that gives it kind of a furniture kind of experience when you're kind of in your living room, where you have a lot of nice touches, a lot of nice colors, a lot of nice materials around there. But yeah, we have that. They've really enhanced the first, second, and third row occupant. Just the feeling of it inside. But there's also several convenience features that are really geared towards family and convenience. One of the cool things we're offering is front and second row relaxation seats, where it gives it a little bit more adjustment, if you will. On the long drives, you need to take a rest, you pull over, you're able to recline, kind of like a recliner chair, basically.
Yeah,
the cushions tip up, and
yeah,
it gives
my
you a
wife
little
would
bit
love
of
that in the front passenger seat, be able to recline and relax as I'm driving along.
Yeah,
not
definitely.
white knuckling it for the way I'm driving, so that would be terrific. Big displays in this thing. Walk us through the display and infotainment
we
system.
actually have it's a panoramic curved display where it's got about 25 inches. It's got dual 12-inch displays, so the digital instrument cluster as well as the navigation screen are both over 12 inches.
Yeah, but looking at them, I don't know that you'd say it's two units. It's very well integrated,
It's very
right?
one panoramic glass piece that's on there. That really gives it a nice kind of modern feel to it, and really you can kind of see it gives it kind of a living room kind of esque integrated TV into the dash.
Yeah, as opposed to perching something somewhere else on the dash. And also, it's kind of covered within the shell, right? I mean, there is a kind of a glare cover for it.
Yeah, definitely. That's definitely covered a little bit, so it does try to prevent glare, during the daytime with light going in. But really, just gives it a nice positioning where it's kind of a little bit below eye level, so that you can keep your eyes on the road at the same time looking down at your important things.
How about like seat controls and those kind of things? Where are those? And talk about that. I think there's quite elaborate seat controls.
There is an overkill on amount of switches and controls that you can have, especially with the seating adjustments. So obviously, with the first, second, and third row seats being full power adjustable, there are adjustable seats within each respective seating area. But in addition to that, there's 2 cool things. So one of them is on the actual head unit. You're able to adjust the second and third row seats. You're able to fold them down. You're able to activate the heated and ventilated seats.
Yeah. And there's a big graphic. You could really see what that looks like.
Yeah, it's a very intuitive graphic that gives you the adjustments as needed. But in addition to that, there's also, you can control the second and third row seats from the cargo area. There's a series of switches that you can control as well, whether it's adjusting the recline or just sliding it forward a little bit to get some additional cargo space.
Yeah, and there is quite a bit of adjustability to that, right? Number one, it strikes me the rear cargo area, even with all 3 rows in use, is pretty big. Refresh me as to the number. It's like 19 cubic feet or something like that.
So one of the things, the SAE approved, measurement for the cargo area is 19 cubic feet. But because of the ability to slide the third row seats forward a little bit, it actually maximizes to over 21 cubic feet. So you're able to pick up a little bit of space in the cargo area while also...
Like if you had small children in the third row,
Yes.
you could move them out. We wouldn't have to worry about legroom at all. And
Exactly.
Deal with that. And at the same, in the same way, you can increase legroom for the third row passenger, I think, by moving the second row up.
That's correct. Yeah, absolutely. Again, just the adjustability of all the seats gives you that flexibility of whether it's cargo or getting more passenger space, legroom, or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the vehicle that's right behind us, which is the XRT version of this, which is all new. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of the Hyundai off-road nomenclature, right? XRT. Yes. Give us the hard ones on this one.
Yeah, so basically, for the Palisade, we're extending our current XRT kind of platform to where now we're extending it to a pro level. So the Palisade is going to be our first model that we're calling XRT Pro. And basically it has unique appearance items all around in the exterior as well as the interior, but the main difference on the Pro aspect of it is we're adding capability. We're adding off-road capability. We're adding certain things like it has an electronic rear limited slip differential for the off-road, for the off-road enthusiasts. It also has front and rear tow recovery hooks in case you get stuck out there, right? And so there's also a 25 millimeter height and kind of lift on the vehicle. You also have increased approach and departure angles as well with this XRT.
Mm-hmm.
So
different tires, or
I'm sorry, yes, it does have different tires. It's got 18-inch wheels. It's got a larger overall diameter on the all-terrain tires, and so basically it just gives that extra height.
Yeah, you're getting a little more ground clearance just with tire height, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And good-looking vehicle. I mean, I like the paint treatment on this thing too. Is this unique to XRT? This paint?
No, it is. This is what we call our earthy brass matte. So it is a matte color paint, but you can see it's a really nice kind of bronzy kind of copper tone to it. We do have it available on some of the other trims as well, but it is available on some other trims.
Yeah. What is the most exciting thing you think about the XRT? What's the big advance here with that vehicle?
For me, I think it's just that added capability, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think giving the customer the option and not having to be worried that if they're going out on a trip, they're going on a long drive, they're going camping, they're going off-roading just for pleasure or for work, that they're able to do it with this vehicle. Mm-hmm. And I think certain things like the recovery hooks as well as the ELSD in the rear really give it that added capability over some of the other
What's the powertrain?
So the powertrain is equipped with a 3.5 liter V6 on the XRT.
V6, yeah.
And it features 5,000 pound towing.
Right.
It also has a standard OEM tow hitch as well.
So it's all-wheel drive with...
Standard all-wheel drive.
And with drive modes. Walk us through the drive modes.
Yeah, we also have, on all the Palisades, we have a terrain mode that we've added that's new, where it has mud and sand kind of modes in there to help with the traction. But in addition to that, for the XRT, we have a unique off-road mode where it kind of displays the H-Track all-wheel drive telemetry. It also gives the pitch and roll, the differential telemetry. It also gives you a front view of the camera, so it's kind of like a ground monitoring where it gives you the front view. So if you're going off-road, you're able to see what you're going over.
Yeah, I love that. Give us some idea of pricing of these. Number one, is there a front-wheel drive Palisade to begin with as an entry level, and then walk us through that?
Yeah, we do have a series of trim levels similar to the current Palisade. We have an SE trim level, SEL, SEL Premium, XRT Limited, and Calligraphy. And then as you go into the hybrid, you also have, it starts off as a blue SEL trim and there's a limited calligraphy, but content between the ICE and the hybrid are the same. Mm-hmm. At the same time, they're both available with a front wheel and an all-wheel drive option.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, pretty comprehensive.
Yeah.
And starting price and what kind of walk?
No,
we're not even there.
No, we're not even there.
You're not even
we're
close,
literally
right?
in those conversations right now as we speak, and we have absolutely no idea where we're going.
It's interesting that there's a negotiation between your company here in the United States and the Korean company,
yes,
and those kind of
and
things,
a lot
right?
of internal as well. So
yeah.
that does happen. But yes, we're right in the middle of this. We're going to be revealing this at New York Auto Show next month.
Yeah.
But the vehicle for the gasoline version is going to be available kind of late summer.
Okay.
And then late fall for the hybrid will be a few months after that.
All right, and 2026 model year.
2026 model year.
All right. Well, Melvin Bautista, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it. Telling us so much about the all-new Hyundai Palisade. Can't wait to drive it. Such a cool-looking vehicle. And stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back right here on America on the Road. Back to America on the Road with co-host Chris Teague. This is Jack Nerad back with you. It is listener question time, but before we get to the question, I'd like to pay tribute to our family dog, Austin, who passed on earlier this week after being with us for 17 years. We love him and miss him, and, it's tough to go on, but we will do so. We love to get your questions and comments, so please send them to editor@drivingtoday.com. That's editor@drivingtoday.com. If you want to send a dog photo, we'd love to see it, too, because we love dogs on this show, among other things. We love cars and we love dogs. Here is a question for Chris, and maybe I'll dive into it too. My check engine light just came on. This is from Bill in Pueblo, Colorado. My check engine light just came on. Should I panic? I like that last part.
Oh, no, don't panic. Please don't. When you realize that some people drive for like years with their check engine light on, I think that you're probably okay for at least the short term, but that doesn't mean you can ignore it. I will say this. The check engine light can mean anything from like a loose gas cap to like a timing chain failure in your engine. And so there's so many things that it could be that, even if the car seems to be driving fine, try to schedule an appointment to get it checked out. They'll plug it into your OBD, plug a computer into your car, and they'll have an idea of what's going on pretty quickly. Alternately, if you have those devices at home, you can do that too, but just don't ignore it, even if it doesn't feel like a big deal.
That is perfect advice, Chris. I couldn't add much more to it. You can get one of those devices. I have one. You can get it for about $30 or something
that's what
like
I paid
that.
for mine.
And really have a good idea what's going on with your car. So look for that. Don't panic, but don't ignore it either. I think that's the summation there. That wraps up our show for this week. My new crime novel, Only One Thing Stays the Same, is now available in both ebook and paperback form at Amazon, so look for it there. If you like our show, please pass it on. Listen on this radio station each week and let your friends know where you hear America on the Road. And, of course, it is available as a podcast in various places, right, Chris?
That is absolutely right. A quick Google search for the America on the Road podcast will bring us to you on all the major platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the rest. Like us, download us, leave us a review. All of those things help us out, and you can take us with you wherever you go.
We would love that. We'd love to be wherever you go mostly, and we do have YouTube and Rumble channels, so you can see what we look like, too. This week, maybe not so great, but better days are ahead. Our thanks to our Sports Byline Network stations for carrying America on the Road. Most of all, thanks to you for listening. We hope you will continue to tune in throughout the entire year to America on the Road, and join us again next time for the next edition of America on the Road.